for find out what happening. Officer, who are them they were causing the rob? The lying and cheating were causing the rob. The NSCY mix up causing the rob. Causing the rob, causing the rob. He say and she say causing the rob. Chain up their friend that causing.
In July, one of the country's most infamous citizens became one of the country's many murder victims. Selwyn Robocop Alexis was gunned down at his business place, further intensifying a whirlwind of tension and violence in central Trinidad. Enterprise in particular became the hub for this, and Ian Wason looks back at the impact of Robocop's death and crime in Central in 2016.
Acting Police Commissioner Stephen Williams admits, while seeing a reduction of serious crime in the Port of Spain and several divisions, there have been an increase in others. One such division is Central. Enterprise has been the focal point of Central Police in 2016. Gang warfare was prominent in Enterprise, with Crown Trace residents in opposition to Selwyn Robocop Alexis. On April 15th, Robocop was prevented from going to a mosque for worship by some residents, given the name Unruly ISIS. The area was flooded by police, who the residents say were under the command of Robocop. After the standoff, there were several incidents in the Enterprise area, including a mini-mart gutted by fire. On Sunday, July 17th, the country was alerted to the news of the death of Robocop. Alexis was ambushed at a car wash he owned on Freedom Street Enterprise at around 4 p.m. on that day. Alexis was able to return fire to his attackers, but was shot dead alongside his friend Kevin Escaye. The shootout was witnessed by Escaye's 5-year-old son, who was injured in the shootout. The shootout, however, claimed one of Robocop's attackers, Thomas Hamza Sharp. Hamza was a reputed member of the unruly ISIS gang. Robocop's death would only bring more tension in Enterprise. During a walkabout in Enterprise on August 26th, National Security Minister Edmund Dillon admitted he was not satisfied with the violence in the area.
Murder is something that we are deeply concerned with. As the Minister of National Security, as a caring government, in fact, I believe all citizens of Trinidad and Tobago must be concerned about murder. And we can't just deal with murder in terms of statistics. Because when we boil it down to a measure of statistics, it means as though we are losing the sense of caring and concern that it affects there is somebody's brother, somebody's sister, somebody's son, somebody's nephew, somebody that has died. And so I don't want to stick to the statistics so much.
Edmund Dillon was met by Mervyn Alexis, brother of the late Robocop, who suggested residents can help improve the crime situation in Enterprise.
But, Mr. Minister, when a body fall, if you see how the street is be lined up with people, Mr. Minister, like it's Juve morning. So the problem is the people.
How can we?
The violence continued with an arson attack on the home of Robocop. No one was injured in the blaze. Several items, however, including running and training equipment for Karen Alexis, a 400-meter hurdler, were lost in the fire. On December 4th, Mervyn Alexis was killed in Enterprise as the criminal elements were intent on targeting the remaining members of Robocop's family. In 2016, the murder count in Central was 77 as of November 30th. With Enterprise accounting for 17 murders this year. I am Ian Wason, looking back at the impact of the death of Selwyn Robocop Alexis and violence in Central Trinidad in 2016.
The nation's courts were not short on drama, even with the conclusion of its longest ever High Court case this year. Politicians went to the courts several times over the past 12 months, while one union leader ends 2016 with a sexual assault case hanging over his head. Peter Christopher reports on the issues and cases which shook the courts in 2016.
The Hall of Justice is not usually short in activity, but in 2016 a historic trial came to an end. After over 2 years, the Vindra Naipaul Coleman kidnapping and murder trial came to its conclusion in May, with 8 of the 10 accused handed not guilty verdicts.
I feel good for my freedom, but not all are good because at the end of the day, they say something take place, you know, when I know for sure nothing takes place, you know, and justice had them served.
The remaining duo, Earl Trimmingham and Lyndon James, were ordered to face a retrial.
Yeah. No, well, the man hold strong, you know, and justice could serve, you know, by the will of Allah. You know, it must serve.
Earlier in January, Joel Fraser was also set free after a no-case submission was accepted by Justice Malcolm Holdip. That meant 9 of the original 13 men charged with the kidnapping and murder of the Extra Food CEO became free men after almost a decade in custody. The other 2, Raphael Williams, died in 2011, while Alan Scanney Martin was killed in a prison escape last year. It was an emotional time for Barbara Charles, who was able to welcome home her son for the first time in 10 years.
10 years, yes. 10 years of hell and back. But I stand strong with God, and I know that God is a miracle working God. It am no God like unto my God. He's good.
The outcome became a central point in the debate over the need for trial by jury. During the law term opening, Chief Justice Ivor Archie called for a move away from the trial by jury system, using the Vindra case as an example.
Any proceeding that occupies so much time and resources without producing a definitive result is a total disaster. That is not a criticism of the judge who had to manage an extraordinarily complex trial, nor of the jury who, untutored in the principles of law and evidence, had to sift through mountains of evidence and complex directions. It is a systemic failure.
The position was opposed by senior counsel Israel Khan, who served as a prosecutor in that case.
It's only a dictator or a fool will want to abolish jury trial in this country. This is a multiracial, multi-religious society, and we cannot have one person determining whether accused person be convicted and sentenced to be hung.
He argued that the country was not mature enough to move to single-judge trials.
The first thing an individual in this country will want to know when he is being tried, what kind of judge you have. What do you think he mean by that? You want to know the racial origin of the judge? We have not reached a stage where we could afford to have a single judge deciding whether a man live or die.
The UNC election petition was also struck down in the High Court in August, but the party still claimed their argument bore fruit, as it proved the Elections and Boundaries Commission was found to be in breach of constitutional rules.
I am Usain Bolt. I am running the Olympics. But when they test, they find drugs in my system illegally. And at the end of that, he says, okay, you could keep the gold medal. The drugs in the system, illegal. In the same way, the EBC has breached the election rules, but you're saying the result is legal. And therefore, I serve notice today on the steps of this Hall of Justice that we will be appealing those aspects of the judgment.
Their subsequent appeal on that grounds was thrown out in October. In one of the more scandalous matters for the year, PSA President Watson Duke faced rape and sexual assault charges stemming out of an incident involving an attorney at the Hyatt Regency Hotel in April. Duke was charged on May 15 after surrendering to police days earlier and spending a weekend in the Port of Spain prison. He appeared in court on May 16th and had been in and out of court ever since. He even racked up another court appearance in Tobago, charged with disorderly conduct. The rape case raised questions about his PSA presidency and candidacy for the upcoming THA elections, with some calling for him to step down as political leader of the Progressive Democratic Patriots. Duke, however, remained defiant.
But what I want to do is to go back home to my wife and family, go back to my PSA family, and go back to the Tobago family, because we have a THA elections that we have to put up with in 2017. So just in case the PNM believe that Watson Duke is out of the race, I'm very much in the race along with my political party, Progressive Democratic Patriot.
The matter is still ongoing, but it did raise the issue of victim blaming, as many took to social media to attack the perceived victim, Cheryl Ann Rajkumar. Rajkumar would later give a newspaper interview to dispel rumors that she was Duke's accuser and bemoan the cyber attacks against her. Notably, Duke's name was also connected to the incident on social media long before he was charged with the offences. The Dana Sitahal case hit a snag in 2016 as a filing error by the DPP's office created complications. Defense attorneys therefore successfully argued that one charge, that of being a member of a gang, had to be dropped, as it was a charge that could not be heard by a magistrate, but rather a High Court judge. Although the charge was dropped against all 13 charged in connection with the case, it allowed one, Dion Peters, to walk free, as it was the only charge against his name. On December 22nd, the case was adjourned again to January 5th. I'm Peter Christopher, and that was a look back at matters of great impact in the courts in 2016.
In 2016, speed guns were introduced as a measure to curb reckless driving on our nation's roadways. The implementation of the guns by police was met with major public consternation over the speed limit, which many felt archaic. For much of the year, road traffic accidents seemed to be on the down. However, there were a few horrific scenes in 2016. Ian Wason looks back at the impact of 2016 on the nation's roads.
On April 29th this year, then Works and Transport Minister Fitzgerald Hines announced that speed guns will be used to aid police in enforcing the speed limit. The implementation of the speed guns actually came the following week, with the first operation on May 5th at the foreshore in Kukurit. There, 7 persons were charged for driving above the 80 km/h speed limit. Among those charged was a motorist who was ticketed with driving at 85 km/h. There was an outcry by motorists who thought the speed limit should be increased, saying the 80 km/h speed limit is too slow for modern roadways. Spare thought now for drivers of vehicles like maxi taxis and vans. They have a speed limit of 60. On October 12th, it was announced that drivers may get their wish, as a possible review of the speed limit was on the cards.
Draft document on speed limit is on the minister's desk as we speak for review and signature. So what we're looking at is that there will be a revise in the speed limits. We're also seeing the red light enforcement, where legislation will come into place now. So we're looking at soon as January 2017 to have these legislation enforced. Increase the weight of pickups from 2950 for goods vehicles, so that your speed, instead of traveling at 65 kilometers now, you could go up to 80. Right? But all these legislation will come into effect from January.
According to figures, however, the speed guns have made a difference in road fatalities for 2016. In 2015, 145 persons lost their lives on the nation roads. However, up to November 16th in 2016, the roads claimed 97 lives. 52 persons have been killed from January to May 5th. Therefore, 45 persons have been killed from the time the speed guns came into effect on November 16th. Despite the drop in fatalities, there were some horrific accidents. On December 6th, a Mitsubishi Lancer and an Isuzu van carrying security officers collided at the O'Meara Road intersection of the Churchill-Roosevelt Highway, killing 6 people from both vehicles. According to eyewitness reports, it was the Mitsubishi that broke the red light. Ezekiel Burton was struck after he had walked into the path of a Honda Civic driven by a 30-year-old man in Malabar on August 7th. He died at the Eric Williams Medical Sciences Complex 2 days later. While not directly linked to the speed limit, in July 24th, 4 persons were injured when a race car spun out of control and flew into the direction of spectators and the pavilion looking on. In December, Commissioner of Police Stephen Williams said, in addition to obeying the speed limit, drivers need to obey the traffic lights. He further added, green does not mean a driver should just go, but look first and make sure it is okay to go forward. I am Ian Wason having a look at the speed limit, the speed guns and the roads in 2016.
There's more to come in our 2016's Impact. Stay with us.